Hello and welcome to another weekly update, and what a week it's been, what a great week in the UK. So this week, Tuesday and Wednesday was Microsoft Ignite the Tour London. And it's really kind of dominated my week. It's really been the highlight. Really fantastic event, really good. These events get better and better. Kudos to everyone who organises, everyone involved in organising these events, and all the people that work so hard to make them a success, because, they are successful. They are really good events, and in terms of quality, they've really, the last couple of years they've got so good. It's it's a joy to be there. It's a privilege to present at them, and it's a brilliant experience. So. Yeah, really positive couple of days. So Ignite was the Tuesday and Wednesday this week. So Monday was a kind of normal day for me, and then Tuesday got the train down, and then did a couple of sessions on the Tuesday. Did a theatre session, which is normally a 15-minute session, around building an IVR bot in Teams. And that was sort of relatively, well received, I think. Good comments afterwards, good questions. And then I did a breakout session as well. So breakout sessions are 60 minutes long. Did a breakout session really aimed at building Teams apps if you're not a developer. So that was kind of interesting. There's plenty of people in this space, IT pros, enthusiasts, power users who aren't necessarily developers. Although it's always interesting because people say they're not a developer, but they totally, they use PowerShell and then they say they're not developers. So they absolutely are. They just don't think they are, right? So, plenty of people in that boat who want to build apps for Teams, but don't really know where to get started, don't know where to go for like the easy routes in, like don't know what the quick wins are. So it was great to be able to kind of give them some sort of tips and tricks that I've picked up in the years doing this. So that was good. And then great evening Tuesday night. There was a good get together. All the MVPs got together in the UK at a little event, and shared some drinks, shared some stories, had a bit of food, did all that sort of stuff. But not super late, because a lot of us had sessions in the morning, so we kept it very sensible, very professional. And turned in for the night. And then on the Wednesday, managed to catch up with a couple of people as well, get some meetings in, and then had another theatre session sort of around lunchtime, and then sort of headed home in the afternoon, and it was really nice. It's really nice being able to do a conference and then go home, be able to do a conference, then jump on a train, and then 2 hours later be home, eating home cooked food, and catch up with the family. So that's a really nice part of having a local conference as well. So it's been really busy, because last week was the Norfolk Developers Conference, another local conference as well. I never really did a proper debrief from that. I know I did the weekly update from there last week, but it's good to touch on that as well, because that's always interesting. It's an interesting barometer for me, because it's not a Microsoft conference, so I gauge how people are talking about Microsoft technology there as like a good indicator of how real people, in the real world, are talking about Microsoft tech. And there's this year, really surprisingly, loads and loads of interest in Teams, way more than previous years, way more than there has been for Skype for Business in the past. Lots and lots of interest around Skype for Business. Around Microsoft Teams. Lots of interest in, lots of companies adopting Teams, moving workloads over onto Teams, and having lots of questions about federation between partners, calling, enterprise voice, all these sort of things. So that was really interesting. So conferencing has been, or conferences have been a big part of the last couple of weeks. Bit of a break now. Couple of weeks off. I'm at work. A couple of weeks off conferences, get a bit of a chance to catch up on the work. Actually, it's going to be a bit busy, and catch up with what's going on. And then looking towards the end of March, we've got the MVP Summit. That's always a good opportunity for a catch up as well, and also it'd be very interesting as well. And then looking ahead a bit further, beginning of June, we're looking at Comms v Next in Denver. Going to be talking there as well. So should all be really good. And don't forget, we've got Build in the middle of that as well. Again, there's always some good announcements in this space come out around Build as well. So I'll be talking about that, keeping an eye on what gets announced at Build for sure as well. Okay, what else has been happening this week? Well, I haven't been paying tons and tons of attention. I've seen lots of things happening, but I haven't had a chance to dig into them yet. So lots of GitHub commits that I haven't had a chance to trawl through yet, but I will do. Something really interesting that I do want to pull out is something that Matt Landis has picked up on. So great spot, Matt. This is really, really interesting. I've been asking this question for a while, and I've not got a great answer. So I'm really pleased that you've managed to kind of sniff this one out. So the question is around Teams bots, specifically the ones that can do voice. So for instance, session at Ignite London that I did this week, I was talking about IVR bots using the new calling API in Teams to enable you can make these bots that users can call and that answer, that speak to users. You can use the keypad for like DTMF tones and stuff like that. So that's interesting. But the question that often comes up is, okay, I've got these Teams bots, how do I assign PSTN numbers to them? So it's not just Teams users who can use them, but anybody who's got a phone line, including customers, external people, because that's where you really get the value of these IVR solutions, right? Is by having customers able to kind of dial in. And I've not been able to get a good answer to that. So really pleased to see that Matt has snuck out an answer from what looks like a GitHub comment in like an issue log or something. So according to someone who I guess knows, who Vinod Ravichandran, sorry if I butchered your name, he has commented saying PSTN calling, so this is in the context of a question saying is it possible or is it planned to enable assigning a PSTN number to a Teams bot? So Vinod has replied and said PSTN calling is planned for this year, potentially by Q3. So that is super interesting on a few levels. The first, that it's coming. Now I think we probably could have figured out that it's coming because it's a very natural thing. It's an entirely natural progression to go from Teams bots to something that PSTN users can access. What we didn't really know was, is it a far-fetched 5-year idealistic thing, or is it much more real? It sounds like it's much more real. So potentially by Q3 is interesting. I can't figure out if it's a big enough of a feature to be announceable. And so what I mean by that is if it's announceable, so if it's like a really big deal feature, you might be able to look at something like Ignite and say, okay, maybe it's a thing that I'll hold off until Ignite, and then that's a good time frame to like align to. But I don't think it's really one of those. I think it's something that will just kind of slide out and it will be picked up by the people who care about it, and that can enable kind of cool solutions with it. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see. But that is going to make a big difference for lots of people and will open up the calling API to some really interesting kind of solutions and really interesting use cases. All right, that's all I wanted to talk about this week. Yeah, it's been a really good week, really kind of positive, really upbeat atmosphere at Ignite actually. Came away really kind of energized from it, so that was really cool. So massive thanks to everyone who came and said hello, because there were loads of you. It was amazing. Big thanks to all the Microsoft people who I caught up with. You guys are amazing. Thank you to everyone who had a part in organising Ignite. You guys are amazing as well. Fellow speakers, all the rest of it. It was great. So yeah, let's roll on the next one. It should be awesome. So everything from me. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you again next time.